Good evening, everyone. It's Patrick Payne again, and welcome to another videos in the Doomsday to America project series. Tonight, I want to talk about the relationship with the Boleyn family and what had, for a long time, been a mystery of heraldry to me. But I think I've now found an answer, and I apologize for this backlighting. I still got a lot to learn when it comes to making these videos. I think in one of my last videos, I had forgotten to turn on one of my cameras showing the genealogy and coat of arms and things like that. But rather than try to remake that hour-long video, I'm just going to let it ride because I think it was still understandable without it. But you can see I still got a lot to learn with all this and the backlighting and get the lighting corrected. And it looks like I'm bald, and I'm really not, folks. I'm losing my hair, but it's not completely gone yet. But like I said, tonight we're going to talk about the Boleyn family and their relationship with the Paynes of Itteringham. I currently have on my screen, as you can see here, Sir William Boleyn, born 1451 in Aylsham, died 10 October 1505 at Hever in Kent. That's Hever Castle. He was married to Margaret, a daughter of the 7th Earl of Ormond, Thomas Butler, which, as I indicated in a previous video, you can really follow the path and descent of the Payne family by following the Earls of Ormond, the Earls of Ulster, the Dukes of Buckingham, Lords of Stafford, and some others. But as I've studied those families that the Paynes served in some capacity along in their history, it accounts for a lot of their movements. So we're going to discuss some of those tonight. And it also posed a heraldic mystery for a long time that really bugged me. And we're going to talk about that too. But you see the coats of arms here. The Boleyn family had the shield with a chevron with 3 bull's heads. And then the Butler family and their coat of arms. But we're going to talk about a side of the Boleyn family that is very seldom discussed. And that's unfortunate because it could help my research so much if some others had spent some more time researching the Boleyn family who aren't, like the cousins of Anne Boleyn. There's not a lot out there, so I've had to do a lot of that myself. And some of it's just, unfortunately, is unreliable. So, all right, so here is the family I think we all know with Thomas Boleyn, the 12th Earl of Wiltshire and Earl of Ormond, and his family, of course, that included Anne Boleyn, the Queen. But we're not going to talk about him. We're going to talk about his brother. And that brother is Sir Edmund Boleyn of Blickling, and his wife, Anne Tempest, a daughter of Sir John Tempest, who died in 1509. Now, this family, you'll note, is of Gosperton, Lincolnshire, which, may have some significance in Payne genealogy because they are also found in Lincolnshire. In fact, I'll save that for later because the coat of arms problem. But anyway, Sir Edward and Anne had several daughters, had a son who died young and without children, but had a daughter, Mary Boleyn, who married James Brampton, and Ursula Boleyn married William Pigg, Amy Boleyn, Nicholas Shadwell, and Edward Wineborough. And then you have Elizabeth Boleyn, who was born circa 1520 at Aylsham, died 1602, and she was the wife of Thomas Payne, who was the Lord of Nowers Hall, or Nether Hall, in Itteringham, Norfolk, which we'll see on the map here in the background that I'll bring up. Here's Blickling here, and Itteringham's here with this little emergency symbol. Just a little, but and while we're talking about it though, you can see the number of Payne the Paynes surrounded Blickling. And of course, this is a period I've got all my filters turned on, all my layers turned on. So that's all the Paynes over, say, from Doomsday to the 17th century. Those are all the Paynes that I could find in this area and plotted on this map. Might as well go ahead and talk about it now. So I'm going to zoom in here on Itteringham, and you can see Blickling is just over here. So, but we have this Payne family living here. And now, Itteringham happened to be one of their family seats. But they also had, you got to understand, these families often possessed several manors. They didn't live in just one. Particularly in medieval times, families that had the means, anyway, did not stay in one place very long. They were constantly on the move. And that's what makes this research so hard, because the only way that I've been able to derive any conclusions is if I match the perceived movements and the Payne records with the movements of the families that they were associated with, and that was usually the peers, like I'm talking about. If you follow the movements of the earls and the dukes, it helps me to place the Paynes and know that I'm dealing with the same family here. I'm dealing with the same, and I can begin to identify individual family members. So anyway, that's the map here. And we are going to be talking some more about this later, I'm sure. But I'm going to go ahead and bring back up my genealogy software because of particular interest. I want you to note that the coat of arms displayed here. So in the churches of Norfolk are found the arms of Thomas Payne, Lord of Nawarsaw, born sometime before 1533. Supposedly at Itteringham, I haven't confirmed that, and died 20 October 1583. He married 15 January 1571 at Caister St. Edmund in Norfolk, Elizabeth, daughter of Sir Edward Boleyn and Anne Tempest. And the arms and churches that are found show an impalement of the Paynes to the left, the Boleyn family to the right. And in regard to the Paynes, it's a shield argent, a chevron vert between three lions rampant, azure. And I'm glad I read this because I think in other places I've been saying it was a chevron ermine. It's not. It's a chevron vert. And now I know and can correct that. And then the Boleyn arms is a shield argent, a chevron, gulls between three bull's heads, sable. And now this is very interesting. And the reason why is because I want you to know that these arms were not originally granted to Thomas Payne. They could not have been. And I'm going to show you why. And not being a herald, this is, it confuses you when you run into these things. So I've just now returned to John Payne, who I've mentioned in my previous videos, who was Chief Butler of England. He was a man of Wyndham, just outside Norfolk. He was an MP for Norwich, he was from Wyndham outside of Norwich, for which he was an MP. And, hey, I'm sorry, I just got a little laugh. My dog's back. He had been out playing in the woods, so I'm happy to see him. He's at the door. All right, so now John Payne, being in his position as chief butler, he left a seal for us that gives his coat of arms that I'm pulling up now. In fact, I think I should probably bring this one up if I can. I don't use this genealogy software to look at pictures so much. I'm going to try to zoom in on this. I think it will let me, but it's sometimes goes crazy, and you got to control it with these sliders, which I hate. All right, so this is the seal of John Payne, and you'll note this being the primary shield of John Payne, and he died in 1402. So obviously, as we'll see in a moment, these arms were originally granted to this John Payne. Like I say, we'll see why in a minute. But you can see it's a chevron there, not ermine, as I said before. It's there, and you can't quite make out, no matter how much I zoom in on this. And I just screwed it up again. But no matter how much you zoom in, you just can't make out what those three items are because it's so worn. However, we now know what they are. They're lions. And we know that from the arms of Sir Thomas Payne there in Itteringham. And I called him Sir, and I don't believe he was actually a knight. He was an esquire. But nevertheless, he bore these same arms. And we can tell that they're the same, which indicates that this Thomas Payne, Esquire of Itteringham, is a descendant of John Payne, the Pincerna. And that's interesting because he's only known to have had one son, which was Robert Payne, known as Robert of Swaffham, who died before 23 August 1454. And we know that his mother, Sibylla de Hethersett, actually died after him because he's named in Robert's will. She's named in Robert's will. And now, note the coat of arms I have associated with him. And to explain that, I need to go up to Sir John's father, Nicholas Payne. Because the arms associated with Nicholas Payne are those arms that are mentioned in my previous video is also being borne by the Paynes of London, specifically at Fulham and Hammersmith, and the docks or the key associated with the Paynes there at PAYNSKEY, that in the previous video I showed had been in possession of the Payne family as early as 1276. When it belonged to Lawrence Payne, and the associations with the Payne family at Southampton, including a John Payne, who was mayor of Southampton. So we now know that all these families belong, they're one family with a shared ancestry, evidently. And we know that based not only on the arms, but on the, most importantly, the record evidence. So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. Because on the one hand, we've got this Itteringham is to the east of Norfolk, and all of our other interests are over here, at Swaffham and Hellhoten over here, or more centered around Norwich, or Norwich, I should say. What else can I talk about? We talked about the key in London, and that 4 tenements down from the Paynes at PAYNSKEY, Sir John Pulteney held a tenement there. That's found in the waterfront research that I cited. Now, we know that Sir Thomas Payne of the Visitations married Margaret Pulteney of that family, which is another indicator on why we know that the genealogy is right. However, at least I should say it's been corrected, because this is new. There's no published genealogy that you're going to find that contains this this genealogy as I have it, and because it's simply unknown. People, for whatever the reasons, researchers haven't made these connections. So that's why I'm excited to share them with you tonight and in future videos. So here we are with the man, Sir Thomas Payne of Bosworth. He lived sometime around circa 1440, died circa 1504. Very little is known about him, and that is assuming I have him correctly identified. We know that his descendants ended up over there in Norfolk. There is a record that I believe could be associated with Sir Thomas, if if he could have become this rector at Brampton. Uh, and you can see all the different associations that he had, or the family had, I should say, that I've been exploring, and they're very interesting ones, particularly with Sir Guy Bryan. Uh, I'll have to make another video on that, on the Paynes and the Bryan family, and the Hollands, the Holland family, and the marriage with that family. We've got marriage with Sir Thomas Holes, with the family of Sir Thomas Holes. Well, I think he's probably the least famous of the family. But anyway, we'll get into all that at some other point. But I just wanted to bring up the important connections here and discuss some of this with the Itteringham family, because I'd always consider them to be separate families based on the coat of arms being different. And now I know that Sir John Payne, the chief butler, his arms were granted to him that differed from his father's. And this is a question for a herald or anyone out there with the knowledge that would care to comment. The arms, to me, they're still very similar. The one here that we're looking at for Sir Thomas Payne, it's a fess between three martlets or birds here, whereas the arms of Sir John Payne, well, it's a chevron between three lions. So it's still, although they differ in their symbols, they're still kind of, I don't know. Why would they change so much? I'm used to seeing an augmentation of the arms to differentiate younger sons from elder branches, but why would a completely different set of arms be granted to a son of a man who already bears arms? Questions that an American, and probably most Brits, don't know either, for that matter. But so I've been struggling with this and trying to, the records point me. As I've clearly pointed out, these families were so closely associated; they had to be from one family. So why the difference in arms, I guess, is what I'm trying to get to here. So thank you for your time. I think that's enough for now. We've spent almost 20 minutes, so thank you for letting me get that out and share that with you. And the Payne family connection of the Boleyns. Now, I know that in some of my communications, I have heard that it is believed that this family of Thomas Payne and Elizabeth Boleyn, where did she go? Well, anyway, their line of the family are extinct. I don't know if that's true, though. I think I've found indications where, like we've seen with the other family, they were living in London, so they kind of slipped through the cracks. And it's obvious that these families haven't been well researched. And I don't want to offend anybody, but what I've found is that while a particular family line may be well researched, there wasn't a whole lot of effort to see if there was a connection with any of the other lines near them. There hasn't been a significant effort in the Payne family to actually find all the primary records, the deeds and the clothes and patent rolls, and I mean, just go through all of the records and trying to see how they connect up as I have. And so I think that's why we're now able to reveal some really remarkable finds that I hope you're enjoying. So please leave some comments and let me know. Please subscribe. I'm new. I don't even have. I think I'm the only subscriber to my channels at this point. They're so new. So I'm trying. I'm reaching out to, I'm also posting a lot of videos. You should be able to see them from my channel, I hope. Please comment on that and let me know. At least somebody let me know how this is working. This is all new to me. But, as I've been researching and I find good videos on YouTube that are related to this research, I've posted them to my site. They're well organized, so if you have a particular area of interest that you like, you're likely to find it easily. And I hope you'll enjoy them. I know I have. So have a good night. See you again soon. Bye-bye.